How you perking? I hope you're perking good. So, this is going to be a rambly video. Me sitting here with a dog tail on my shoulder on the couch here with no makeup on and my hair just put back in one of those little, I don't even know what you call headbands. Sitting here just being raw and truthful and honest. And my hope in all of this is that there's something about this that could be either relatable to y'all or maybe even food for thought in a way that could be helpful to at least one of you. Or entertaining, especially for people who hate watch. Maybe this will be entertaining. But as the title suggests, fuck this. Fuck this. I've been trying to figure out where I'll start with all this, so of course I have my notes that wrap around the page in weird ways, written all over. So I'm just gonna go off of what I have here, and just go wherever I feel led to take this. But basically, I've just been reflecting. I reflect a lot as a person. I don't know if it's just me, how I am, that makes me want to reflect a lot, or the fact that I'm a really spiritual person, so I reflect a lot, or the fact that I've always worked in the mental health field to where I want to reflect a lot, but I'm just a very reflective person. So I was doing that, and I was just remembering how months ago, on a live stream, the conversation was talking about, some people that write mean or hateful comments or things like that. And we were talking about the ones that it's like, whatever, par for the course, don't care, versus the ones that actually are like, darn, that kind of hurt, and all this other kind of stuff. And I remember one of you, and I believe it was Matt, because hello, shout out to you, Matt, very, very kind and thoughtful person. I want to say that it was Matt that said something like, oh, their lives are so boring, that they've got nothing else better to do than to be, keyboard warriors and whatever, just, talking shit and complaining and stuff like that, because your life is so much more interesting than theirs, that's what they've got to do. And I remember thinking at that point when Matt said that, I was like, on one hand, thank you, that is very kind of you to say something like that. On the other hand, I wish that was true, but it's not. Because I was sitting there thinking, my life is not more interesting than theirs. And in a lot of ways, my life can be considered very hollow and empty. And this isn't going to be a depressing video. Don't worry about that. Not completely, at least, but we're going to go there. We're going to touch on some pieces like that. Because to be honest, you have to, being honest means being honest. Being honest means being comfortable with admitting and discussing the things that you wish you didn't have to admit and discuss. People like to talk a lot about, honesty and being honest and being, taking a good look at yourself, only up until the point that it means that they have to actually see things they don't want to see and say things they wish they didn't have to admit. That's not real honesty. That's people saying that they're being honest and taking an appraisal, but really they're actually just doing the shallow thing that everybody else does, and they think that they've done something there, that they've been cool there when they haven't. So in that moment, I was like, my life isn't more interesting than theirs. And I've been thinking about that ever since. Like, why? And what does that mean? And how did it get there? And is this something I've done? Or, what do you do with that? Where do you go from there? When you take that kind of a long, hard look at yourself and are actually honest about what you see. And I've listened to a few other people's stories along the way. I've been, of course, as y'all know, a major fan of Peter Mon and of his Peterisms and Peter Does Stuff channels, where he discusses a lot of things about his life and his personal experiences, personal journeys, personal reflections, things like that. I watched a video this morning by another YouTuber. I believe her name is Steph Sunyati, and she's not on YouTube anymore. She hasn't been for years. And I actually haven't watched a video of hers in years, but one got recommended to me today, and I watched it. And all of these people that I've, been kind of taking things in over the last few months as I'm reflecting on my own processes over the last few months. And I realized that for me, my identity and my value has basically been defined by my work. And the things that I'm going to talk about, some things might sound cliche, but it's one of those things that people genuinely don't notice these things until they hit a point where stuff becomes painfully obvious, because if they don't check themselves, they're about to wreck themselves. And that's when a lot of people start to actually realize this stuff is a slippery slope. These are things that we might talk about enough to be cliche, but people don't actually know what they mean or what they feel like or look like, oftentimes until it's too late or until something happens. And so what I was realizing was, without thinking of my identity and my value as it pertains to the work that I did, on and off paycheck, without that, I was nothing else, and I had nothing else. Like, all the hours in my day mostly were devoted to work. I didn't have anything else. Most of what I would identify myself as was by the things I was doing for work-related stuff, and not really anything else in my mind anyway. Of course, you find out those things are not necessarily true, but in your mind, your perception is everything. That's what matters. And so without it, I was nothing and had nothing. But with my work, with it, I was only as good as my degrees, my years of experience, like how many years have you been in the field, and my willingness to overwork myself to death in my mental health jobs. So in my mental health jobs, with that work, I was only as good as how many degrees do you have and from what colleges. Make sure they're not online colleges and all this kind of stuff. Make sure they're accredited, make sure they're good schools. And you're only as good as how many years you've been working in the field. You better have been working over 10 years or else you're nothing. And you're only as good as how willing you are to overwork yourself into unpaid servitude, to where you're, even if people can talk all they want about how, oh no, we have good workplaces, we don't allow people to get burnt out, we try to work with people's morale, taking care of yourself is so important, have self-care. Oh, but by the way, here, maintain this caseload of this many people, make sure that you get all this paperwork done. Oh, I'm sorry, you're doing more paperwork than actually seeing clients. Sorry, that's the way it is. Oh, you can only help clients if you go by what the insurance companies say and make sure that you have pre-authorizations and that you diagnose them on the first session. Okay, yeah, well, sorry. I mean, if that's how you have to help clients, then you have to help clients. Oh, but insurance will only pay for 5 sessions though, so hopefully you heal them and cure them in 5 sessions. You know, all that kind of stuff. So I was only as good as playing the game in a broken system that measures your worth by dangerously unhelpful and unhealthy measures and objectives. And then in terms of this work that I do, the tarot work that I do, I'm only as good here as how salacious and sensationalized my tarot readings are. And I'm not talking about all of you. Y'all know. Y'all who are not a part of these things that I'm saying, you know who you are. I'm talking about the masses in aggregate, how videos perform, you know, in terms of a big, massive, general sense. So please don't think I'm pointing fingers at you specifically. I'm not. But I'm only here on this channel as good as how salacious and sensationalized my tarot videos are. I've noticed on this channel and throughout YouTube that tarot and psychic channels, interestingly enough, it doesn't really matter how accurate they are. What matters is how juicy the gossip is and how well what you see in the cards matches what people believe the cards should be saying. So the videos that get the most views on tarot channels in general are videos that talk about the most juicy... Bodhi, stop! My fucking Lord. The whining. I can't. The videos that get the most views on tarot and psychic channels across YouTube are the ones that have the most juicy gossip about, you know, celebrities or YouTubers, the ones that get the most in-depth in their lives, looking at things that you shouldn't be looking at, like, ooh, are they gonna get pregnant? And, you know, ooh, I think that they have these mental health problems and they're psycho and sociopathic and should be, you know, on meds for these psycho things they're going through. And, you know, oh, I think these people should be canceled, and let's cancel everything about them and make it to where they're so buried that they can never ever have a living anything again, because they would be so publicly embarrassed and shamed that they could, you know, they may as well just be dead, because I want them to be so canceled that they never see the light of day ever again. And those kinds of videos get great views using cards and psychic skills to discuss those things and make those kinds of recommendations and outcomes from your readings, which to me sounds so unspiritual and unenlightened and missing the point entirely. And then other videos that do well are people being like, ooh, this movement is happening right now, and it's really cool to hate on this person or to hate on this movement. So let me make the cards say these damaging bad things about these people. And if your cards actually say the truth, and the truth happens to not be that, then your video gets shitty views and you get shitty comments and this, that, and the other. So technically speaking, what I've learned in the last 2 years doing tarot on YouTube is I would actually do better and have great views and great success and be considered an exceptional tarot reader and amazing psychic if I would just read on the juiciest gossipy things that you should never be looking into in people's lives ethically and be saying things that people want to hear on the groupthink bandwagon. And if I could just, look at the cards and pretend those are the things that they mean and just, say whatever the hell I want to say, pulling it out of my ass to give it that, I would be looked at as, wow, you are an amazing psychic, you are a great tarot reader, you're the best of the best, and now you have all these followers and all these views. And I think that that's so sad. Had I known that that's how this was going to go when I got into this, that it wasn't actually going to be about truth or accuracy or giving people a heads up on something or giving people information that could be helpful to them in some way, or finding out stuff that is more than just for our nosy need to know, but that there's something actually eye-opening about what we're learning here, something that we can use. If I knew that it wasn't going to be those things and it was going to be the other things, I'll be honest, I would have never done it. I would have never started a channel like this if I knew that in advance. Honestly, wouldn't. Because even in the readings that I do that seem like it's just for nosy need to know, there's something that comes from the cards, that comes from the spirit guide's message that leaves an impact somewhere. It helps us learn a lesson to not do something somebody else did, or it helps us to gain empathy to be like, yeah, this person may have done some really shitty things, but look at the reasons why they are the way they are and how they got here, and let's have some compassion or empathy for that. Or it might show us some other form of meaningful, purposeful message or lesson that comes out of the reading that can be helpful. So even if it looks like on face value, maybe this is just a nosy reading looking into people's lives or stuff like that, what comes out of it is something that is useful, helpful, thought-provoking. You can use that and overlay it on your own experience and make you think a different way, change your perspective a little bit, question certain things, consider things that you wouldn't have considered before, stuff like that. And those are the things that seem important, but those are not the things that matter on the platform. So my identity and value have been very hard for me to put my finger on because how do you identify with things when you're trying to identify yourself as something and value yourself by certain measurements within a broken and sick system that honors the wrong things and perpetuates the wrong things and celebrates the wrong things, and you're supposed to measure your identity and value based on those things. That it's a mind fuck. It's a mind fuck. And so I've been thinking through all of those things, and I realized, with what Matt had said and me thinking about but I don't have a more, interesting life than those people that are saying shitty things to me. I don't. It's empty and hollow. I was realizing those are the reasons why it's empty and hollow, because everything that I identify myself through and I value myself through is through my work. And without my work, I was nothing and had nothing. And with my work, I was only as good as those things that I mentioned, whether it's with my mental health jobs or whether it's with my tarot related jobs. And so I realized I had to reassess my identity and my value and how they would be measured. I had to reassess that. I had to realize, first of all, I've got to add more things to my identity. I can't just be a tarot reader. I can't just be a mental health clinician. I have to be more than that. And to be more than that, you actually have to do more than just that. Like if you want to say, oh, well, I identify myself as, a wife, then I have to actually take time and be a wife. If I want to identify myself as a family member, I have to actually take time to hang out with family. If I want to identify myself as a friend, I have to have friends and be a friend to those friends. If I want to identify myself as, oh, I'm a creative person and I like doing artistic things, then I have to actually engage in art and crafts and do artistic things. I have to make time for that and do those things. If I want to identify myself as I'm a healthy person, taking good care of myself, then what does that mean? That means I have to engage in healthy people things. I have to engage in eating well a lot. I have to engage in sleep hygiene. I have to engage in good mental health strategies like journaling or like, taking walks outside, being outside sometimes. Things that are beneficial to holistic health and all the things. If I'm reassessing how I identify myself and how I value myself, I'm going to have to add more things to it than just what I do. And I'm going to have to actually practice those things and do those things for me to count those things. Because right now, I don't do anything else but work. I don't do anything else but work. All day, every day, morning and night. Because it's especially hard when you have multiple jobs like I do. And it's especially hard when some of your jobs are working from home, because then it's not like, oh, I work my job at work and then I come home and everything at home is home life. It's like everywhere is work. Away from home is work and home is work. It's all work. And forming boundaries around that is harder than it looks. It's not as easy as it sounds. You can say that all day, every day, but it's not that simple. It's not that easy. It takes a lot of thought and time and effort to think about what boundaries to set and to be able to actually stand by those boundaries. Enforce those boundaries. So another part of this is if I'm having to reassess this, then one way of reassessing this is reassessing what my true needs are in this life. And so it's like, goodness, she's snoring over here. It's like I have to reassess what my true needs are in this life. And when I figure out what my true needs are, I have to be brave enough to cut out everything else. And that sounds so much easier said than done. That like all of this stuff sounds cliche, because it is a cliche thing to say, but when you actually have to apply this stuff to your life, when you have to actually sit there and in a practical sense start the application of this, it's so different, y'all. It's so different, because I want if my needs are that I want fulfilling relationships in this life, then that means I have to cut out relationships that are not fulfilling me. Or I have to find a way to make those relationships be fulfilling for me. Those are both hard things to do. What if there's relationships that aren't fulfilling and I don't think that there's a way that they can be fulfilling? Trying to cut those out, not an easy task. Not an easy task. Especially if some of those are relationships that, say, you've had for a long time, or that are family, or things like that, that's complicated. And if you feel like, well, here's some that I'm not going to cut out, but it's going to take some work to make these relationships fulfilling. Think about how much work and how much time and effort that's going to take to put in to make those fulfilling. It's going to be hard. If another one of my true needs is that I need to have meaning in my life, I need to have purpose in my life, and how I have meaning and purpose in my life is that I help people feel seen, feel heard, feel understood, feel validated, feel like somebody gets it. Somebody gets me and somebody gets it. That is a big part of me feeling like I am fulfilled, I have purpose, I have meaning. And if I've got to cut out all the rest, that means I can't just do jobs just to have a paycheck. That means I can't just do YouTube videos just to do YouTube videos just because someone wanted me to, or something like that. That means I have to cut out everything that's not in alignment with those true needs, or I have to find a way to adapt them to be in alignment with my true needs. And that's not going to be easy. That means certain jobs are going to fall away. That means certain tasks are going to fall away. That means certain relationships are going to fall away. That means I'm going to have to end a lot of things and start over on a lot of things to get to that point. And that's going to be hard, and it's going to take a long time, and it's going to be worth it. Just the other day on my live stream, Wednesday on my live stream, somebody asked if I had a 5-year plan, a 5-year goal. And I was like, yes and no. No, I don't have every little detail planned out of where I want to be and what I want to be doing in 5 years. But yes, I do. And I was like, but I kind of want to keep that to myself. I don't know if I would want to really talk about that on here. And I think a big reason why I said that is because 2 things. One, you talk about it on here and people start holding you accountable to that and asking you questions about how it's coming and where it's going. And 2, you tell people stuff like that and they automatically start weaponizing things against you. They automatically start using that against you in some kind of a way. And so it's a very vulnerable thing to do. But I thought about it and I'm like, fuck it. Yeah, I'll tell y'all where I want to be in 5 years, what I want to do in 5 years, what I want my life to look like in 5 years. Yeah, fuck it, I'll tell you. And, it might surprise some of you, but I'll tell you. I want to be more emotionally stable in 5 years. I have formally in my life been diagnosed with anxiety, with depression, with trichotillomania, which is pulling out your own hair, pulling it out of your head, and been formally diagnosed with OCD. And I struggle with those things every fucking day. Some days are better than others. I'm fortunate enough to be a relatively functioning adult with those things, because I know some people out there have these things so severely that they can't. But when I say I am just barely functioning with these things, I mean I am just barely functioning with these things. There are some days I'll have an OCD episode so bad that I get stuck in a loop, and I realize for 4 hours that day I got nothing done other than repeat the same thoughts in my head on a loop over and over and over relative to some stupid fucking thing that I couldn't get out of. Something like picking out an outfit for a video I'm gonna film. Some days I could get stuck in an OCD loop for 4 hours. And it's like, does that matter? No, I know it doesn't matter. I know that it doesn't take all this thought to think about that. But in my mind, it's like, well, if I wear this, then I would have to wash my hair. If I washed my hair, I would have to style it first before I put on this because it's a tight neckline and then it would ruin my hair. And so if I'm going to put the tight neckline on, then I'd have to do it on before I style my hair. So then, maybe I won't wear that shirt. So maybe I'll wear this shirt. But, I've worn a shirt like that in a recent video, so I probably shouldn't wear that shirt. If I wear this shirt, that'll be good. But then that means what lipstick would I wear? And if I had to wear a lipstick, the only lipstick I have that would look good with that actually is an old Jeffree Star lipstick. And I damn sure don't want to wear an old Jeffree Star lipstick because he's canceled. So if somebody asks me, what lipstick are you wearing? And you tell them you're wearing a Jeffree Star lipstick, then they'll fucking think that you like Jeffree Star and that you agree with him and that you gave him your money rather than somebody giving it to you as a gift, and you'll get canceled because you wore a Jeffree Star lipstick. So actually I can't wear that shirt. So let me go. And I'll be in there for 4 hours crippling myself over a stupid fucking thing like that. And not every day is like that. Like I said, I have good days and I have not so good days. And I have a whole host of things that I try to do, for all these various things. But in 5 years, I would like to be more emotionally stable. I've been working on this for 34 years. My first signs of trichotillomania and OCD started when I was 8 months old. That is an early age of onset, which comes with a really poor prognosis, but it doesn't mean I don't try. Doesn't mean I don't try. I have no choice but to try, The other choice is to let it take over, and I'm not, I don't agree with that for me. So yeah, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying a lot of different things. So my 5-year plan is I want to be more emotionally stable. I want to be more emotionally at peace. And I don't want every day to have to be such an effort, to have to try so hard every day for every little thing. Try so hard every day just to think about what am I going to eat next and when am I going to shower. I just want for that to just be an easy decision to make, an easy, quick decision to make, and not have it, be so involved. Another thing that in my 5-year plan is I want a few meaningful, close relationships with people that I feel like understand me, they get me, and that I can have those in person with them. Because online friendships doesn't cut it for me. I need in-person friendships, and friendships where I'm seeing people, and friendships where it goes both ways. I'm so used to getting myself stuck in friendships where it's so surfacey because I talk to them to help them. I talk to them to talk through what they want to talk about, but the whole time I'm thinking, what do they want to talk about and how can I help them? And I'm not letting them in because I feel like, oh, well, they don't actually understand me. They don't actually see me, know me, hear me fully. I can't be my complete self with them. I can't just say anything, or else I might offend them, or else they might be annoyed by me. Or else they won't agree with those certain values or beliefs. And so, I can't be like me completely with them. And so what's the point then? And so then I don't have friends, because I feel like, what's the point in that? And so my 5-year plan is I want to, move past that kind of thinking and that way of being and develop close personal relationships with people I can trust, that I can allow in, and that they can understand me and get me, and that I can see them and hang out with them in person. That's a big 5-year plan for me. Another one is I want to be financially stable in 5 years. I don't want to be working several jobs in 5 years. Right now, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm trying to apply for a 3rd job as we speak. And I would love to say I'm working 1 job. And since this is a 5-year goal, since this is a 5-year plan, you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want. I want to work 1 job, or at least be, quote unquote, working for myself. So if I'm contracting with multiple people or agencies or organizations doing multiple types of activities, but it's all under the umbrella of my own business or LLC or job, that's okay. But I want to be working my own thing. I want to have flexible hours. I want to have flexible, work a lot from home and only have to be, in person in an office setting or whatever, whenever it's necessary and calls for that. I want that to be financially sustainable for me. And I want that work to not be what I'm used to, where I'm only good and valued if my degrees are enough. I'm only good or valued if I've had enough years of experience. I'm only good or valued if I know what it feels like to work on the front lines first before the administration. I'm only good or valued if I overwork my ass off in a salaried position where you only get paid for the 40 hours you work, but you better work 60 and only get paid for those 40. No, I want it to align with my current values and my current goals. I want the work that I do to be helpful to people. I want to be able to work without handicaps. And by that, what I mean is without having my hands tied behind my back, that I can only work as well as an insurance company will pay for. I can only work as well as the bureaucratic red tape will allow me to do with people. The policies and procedures and legal hangups will allow me, and I can only work that far. No, fuck that. I want to have the freedom to do what is going to help people without all that red tape limiting me and tying my hands behind my back. I want to work in a way where I'm preferably not, quote unquote, famous. I don't want a YouTube channel with millions and millions of subscribers. If you had asked me years ago, would I like to be highly successful on YouTube, I would have said yeah. But now, the way that the world is, the way that you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, anything you said can and will be used against you in the court of public opinion. That literally, no matter what you say, you will be offending someone. No matter what you say, you will be contributing to the suffering of someone. No matter what you say, you will be considered ignorant. No matter what you say, you will be considered stoking some sort of fire. There's no way to win in that. There's no way to win in that. And I hate that. I hate that. I am an ENFJ. I don't deal with confrontation. I am a bleeding heart, compassionate person. I don't deal with aggression and confrontation and all of that shit. I don't deal with it. I don't deal with it well. And so I don't want to be under that big of a public eye microscope. I don't want to be that scrutinized. I don't want to be recognizable enough that people recognize me when I'm out and about in my own town and people take pictures of me being like, oh, look, she visited this store. Oh, look, she didn't wear a mask when she went to PetSmart. Oh, look, she did this or that or the other or something, you know, God forbid, whatever the fuck. You know, I don't want that. I don't want that. So preferably a job where I can just live my life where I am both significant and invisible at the same time in my job doing financially stable work. This is a big wish list, y'all, but I'm telling you, I want, in 5 years, I would love to have a full caseload of clients helping profession work the way that I describe it, define it, and do it, whether it's using tarot, whether it's using channeled messages, whether it's using spiritual practices and therapeutic techniques, whether it's using forms of life coaching, whether it's whatever have you. I want to have a full caseload of clients that I am helping in that sense, in a very meaningful and purposeful way, where I feel so rewarded by how helped they feel that they are. I want people to feel like they not only are being heard, seen, and understood, and that someone gets it, but I want people to feel hopeful or motivated or inspired by anything that I say or do that I can help them. And I want a full caseload of people that I can provide that kind of help to. And that's a really big deal to me. I want to leave some sort of ongoing legacy by 5 years' time, where even if I wasn't around, and don't take this as me, you know, saying that I don't intend to be around, because I do, but that even if I wasn't around, that there'd be something left that could keep on going, whether that was YouTube videos that people would watch long after I've gone, or long after I would quit YouTube, or long after I'd whatever, that would still be helping people some sort of a way, adding value to people's lives some sort of way, or a book or something that would be adding value to people's lives, or if I am in some way, you know, touring around and speaking like motivational speakers or something, to help people somehow. I would want a legacy of some sort of work that continues to help people, whether that's tarot classes or something that I would teach, and helping people learn how to, you know, channel their guides through cards, or like how I did a video helping people learn how to channel their guides through numbers, repeating numbers, and signs like that. Like I want to have some sort of expanding legacy like that keeps going, even if I were to stop doing everything and retire. You know, I want those things. And so those are my 5-year plans. Those are my 5-year plans. That's me knowing that I need to reassess my identity, reassess my value, how I measure those things in myself, what I am if I am not my job and am not my work, and what more do I want to be, and what all do I have to start and do to be those things. I want all of that. I want all of that. And I want to figure that stuff out. And if you're in that boat with me, if this video has in any way, shape, or form been helpful to you, I know it's going to get low views. These things do. I hope this video hasn't come off being too negative, or to anything. I hope this video has just come off as me being real, raw, honest, authentic, genuine, personable to you and with you, so that maybe you can use this as food for thought in your own lives, in your own journeys, in your own processes, and that it might help somebody out there to take a look at themselves, to truthfully assess where they are, and to brainstorm how do they get forward from here. What does point B look like? You're at point A. What does point B even look like? And then what all do you have to cut loose, release, and change to get to that point B? And what are you going to do the work and go from there? And so, I don't know, y'all. If you'd like a private reading with me to help sort through some of this stuff, that's what I do. That's what I live for. It's helping people through things. And so if you want a private reading, right now is a good time. I've got the Channelversary sale where it's 15% off of everything on my website. And so I'll put all of that, the code stuff, in the description box below. You don't have to, but if you want to, it's there. It's there. I like helping people. It's what I do. And I genuinely hope that y'all are having a good week, that y'all are having a good month, that y'all are able to have the time to reflect, because when people talk about self-care, this is that. Giving yourself the time to reflect and get honest and start making plans that are in alignment with your future, that is self-care. Because otherwise we're just running on autopilot in our hamster wheel, doing things that aren't working well for us, feeling miserable and hopeless about the direction for it to ever change, and not knowing how to stop and get off the wheel. And so if you want to tout self-care, take a moment to do this kind of stuff. That's self-care. So anywho, don't be a stranger. Come back and see me, and I will talk at you later. Bye, love you, mean it. Bye, love you, mean it. I really, really do fucking love you. Mean it. Bye, love you, mean it.